So I've never publicly spoke like this before. So we were a family of 5, and I was the youngest. My brother was 12 years older than I was. We often visited our grandparents' house with my aunt, who was not married. They lived in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. Then we stopped visiting the house when I was like between 7 and 10 years old. My grandparents passed away. They were like older. They were in their 80s and 90s. And they were very, very, very strict, very old school. My grandpa was a retired coal miner, and he smoked a cherry pipe. He was wrinkly, skinny, dirty old man in my eyes. Although my grandmother, although they didn't have much money, they were highly respected in the neighborhood, and they in their society. And in their church, they were very active in their church. Everybody loved Pop Banks. He was a flirt, a comedian, highly respected. And my grandma and grandpa slept in separate bedrooms, which was really strange to me as a child, because I thought like married people slept together, and I didn't understand why they didn't share a room. But when I was when I was in kindergarten age, I was sexually molested by him. And I really don't know how many times it happened, but it seemed like it was a regular thing, at least for that 1 year. One thing I remember is him telling me it was my job to make a man happy. So he told me that I was special, and that this was our little secret. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right, and I thought I was a bad girl. This relationship between him and I was in the morning at breakfast time, when everyone else was downstairs eating breakfast. Messed up. He would call me in his room when the door was opened. If it was closed, I wasn't to go in. After our little interaction, I would leave the bedroom and sit at the top of steps, trying to compose myself and stop from crying. So as I was going through that, I was wondering, like, why weren't they looking for me? Like, I was kindergarten, everybody was downstairs, and I couldn't figure out why no one was looking for me. But I remember hearing them talking in the kitchen. Oh, where's Patricia? And be like, oh, she's with Grandpa. And I was like, they just left me with him? Like, they were clueless. And I remember, like, when I did walk down the steps, my dad would sing the song, "Here she comes, Miss America." Like, what the hell? I was so confused. I was so scared. I was lonely. And, like, why would they sing that song to somebody that was such a bad girl? And so I never told anybody about it, and I tucked it down deep inside. And the stuff with my grandpa still haunts me. I'm going through continuous, serious healing. And the first time I told somebody about it was when I was an adult. I told my mom and sister, and they said, "Oh, well, children just make stuff up." And I'm like, you are idiots. You are idiots. So I just brushed it off, and it did mess with my relationships with guys in the past. It brought trauma issues when I was a teen, and sometimes it affects my marriage. So let's bring us to the song, "God Will Take Care of You." This song to me meant, because I first heard it when I was a little girl, it meant Jesus is my babysitter. I remember as a child talking to my sister about this song, and I really liked it. And I asked her, I said, so Jesus is my babysitter? And she encouraged me. She said, yes, Jesus is always with us. So, like, how can a 6-year-old come up with something. Like, God is always in you. So he had my protection back then in that relationship. And I learned I could run to Jesus. And I learned that God can take care of me. Jesus was my babysitter. He was with me the whole time. This was my tool, and I could carry it with me through the years of hard times and loneliness. Help me cope, survive, and give me courage. And let me know I'm not alone. So I knew I could run to Jesus at a very age. God planted himself in our souls before we were born. He's always there. So all the darkness we go through in our lives, whether we have a personal relationship with Jesus or not, God is with us. He's rooting for us. He will never forsake us, even when we don't know it. God never puts us in bad situations. He doesn't choose to let bad things happen. We live in a fallen world. There's bad things in the world, and it impacts us. Sin entered the world, sin and sickness, the fall of man, and it falls on the righteous and the wicked. But God is there with you, and he will get you through it. He promises that. I, too, am a follower of Christ. I still have shortcomings, failures, missed opportunities, and disobedience. The fact that I was promiscuous made me have a reckless relationship with Jesus. I said before, I get in bad, damaging relationships in my teens until I was 20. I got pregnant with my first boyfriend when I was 16. Against his wishes, I chose to go through the pregnancy and went through an adoption agency. My son's name was Christopher Sean, and he was taken away from me at the hospital. The whole experience was traumatic, and I was utterly alone. I had no support from my family or even my counselors. The only thing I could cling to was Jesus, my babysitter. He was my best friend and my saving grace once again. It was a close adoption, so I was never to hear from my son again. Well, I am a visionary, and I have learned to grasp peaceful images in my head and hold on to them. So, a lady gave me a picture. It was at an Emmaus walk, and it was she had a lesson, and it was posted at the front. The picture was posted at the front, so everybody could see it. And a rush of emotions came onto me, and this looks exactly like me when I was 16 years old. If you guys want to pass that around. This was me running to Jesus time and time again. He's simply holding me. I've run to him because he is my constant. No words are needed, but his touch, his peace. I can feel the love coming from him. So getting back to when I was 6 or 7 in Sunday school, I went to Presbyterian Church of the Covenant. And the minister's wife, named Jean Norquist, who really had an impact on my life at such a young age, kindergarten age. The Sunday school lesson was Revelation 3:20. Look, I stand at the door and knock. If you hear my voice, open the door. I will come in, and I will share a meal together as friends. We talked about that picture as part of the Sunday school lesson. When I was a child, that picture had such an impact on me. I really had empathy for Jesus. At such a young age, I felt bad for him. I thought, why doesn't Jesus just open the door? And then I realized there was no knob outside. And it was explained to me that you have to want to open the door to let him in. I thought, why wouldn't somebody just want to letting him in. So when I looked at the piece of art, I visioned me inside the house, running to open the door to let Jesus in. And during this Bible lesson, we made salvation bracelets. And I accepted Jesus in my heart. At that early age. I think because what I went through with my grandpa allowed me to understand the relationship I needed with Jesus. So that salvation bracelet really impacted me. And we're going to make them, or finish making them after the talk. So through my life, God's been doing great things. I actually just started a few years ago what it really means to trust Jesus. So God revealed something really sacred and very special to me that was so deeply buried in my soul. I received a letter from the adoption agency October 3, 2021. And I knew in my heart exactly what that was. 30 plus years later, my son was contacting me. And now we text and see each other occasionally. We go to baseball games with him. It's not a strong connection, but it's something. And something that was lost now is blessing me. God wants me to be his ambassador and to trust him. And I'm learning to go where God has already been working. Through surrender and obedience, just like Peter had to learn in his relationship with Jesus. My husband and I have done youth groups, taught Sunday school, been on a mission trip. And God stretches us through our marriage. And all we have to do is trust him. We hope to continue to hear his call because God has big plans. Allow him to work in you. And of course, we will continue to ask questions. I don't understand these questions, like life. I don't understand Jesus, but he does. Jesus was on earth 33 years plus 33 years as a human. He felt pain and he felt hurt. He felt anger and he felt suffering and temptation. He wept for his best friend. He felt disappointment in his disciples. He was very angry at the temple. He asked his Father 3 times if he would just take this cup from him so he didn't have to go on the cross for our sins. He was betrayed by his own follower. He felt so much stress and anxiety and anticipation on the cross that he sweat blood. And we live in a broken world. Our struggles and trials and tribulations are here, and we can't make them go away. We still have to deal with them, but we know that you can come to the cross. You have come to Jesus. Sometimes it's okay to feel despair and hopelessness and feel like you can't win battles. You can feel that way, but just know how to get yourself out. Take Jesus there with you, and he will help you out. The devil can eat you up, chew on you, spit on you, eat you up, chew on you, spit on you again and again. And we can fight it if we have the power to say enough is enough. He wants to take away our pain and hurt. Jesus is waiting for you to open the door to your heart. Jesus, can you please take this from me? Could you please heal my broken heart? Don't run from him. Run to him. Can you see him at the end of this mucky, rocky road? He's there with his arms open wide, just for you. So run to him. Run to him. So with all your strength and all your might, he can handle it. This is why I run to Jesus. And this is why Jesus will always be my babysitter. Peace out.